Welcome, friends of Ai4Autism. We continue with our amazing series of interviews where we have the chance to listen to members of our community and hear their stories. And today we have a lovely guest with us. Abby is a full-time mum from London, and Abby is also the mother of 3 children, one who is autistic, her son. And today we'll be hearing Abby's story and we'll get a chance to learn from her experiences. So please welcome Abigail Smith. Hey Abby, how's it going?
Hi, you're right. Yeah, everything's going good.
That's awesome. We'll dive straight into it. Abby, tell us about your son and how old he was when he was diagnosed as autistic.
So my son Jesse was diagnosed. He was assessed first in June 2017 with multiple difficulties. Then it took another 2 years for them to give him a diagnosis of autism, which was March 2019.
Wow.
Jesse is a very happy child, very active, a very big character. He likes to copy everything. He will make you laugh. He is a bag full of fun.
Yeah. Does he copy everything you do, like in the kitchen, around the house and stuff?
Oh, you see, if someone was trying to like joke around with you and copy everything you say, like mimic you completely, he will do that, but you'll find it so hilarious. So he knows what he's doing. He's cheeky, very cheeky.
Yeah.
But literally, I will say he's my hip. Everywhere I go, he's under my elbow.
Yeah.
Literally under my elbow.
Oh, bless. And after discovering he was autistic, how did you feel and how did you change as a person, as a mother?
I think after he got his diagnosis, I felt like I really felt much better. I felt like everyone was listening. Not that I was going mad. I've always knew that there was something going on with Jesse compared to my other 2 children. But it was just other professionals that took their time in letting me know what was going on. I wanted to understand my child. I wanted to know everything that was going on with him so I can help him in the best way and then get all the help that he needed put in place, because early intervention is key.
Yeah.
They do need to intervene much earlier, but obviously they didn't. So it caused me at first to be very distressed because I didn't know what was going on with him. But after that, I felt a lot better because then I did make sure I pushed through and got everything that he needed to be done.
Yeah.
It's still ongoing.
Yes, of course. And that's what my next question was going to be about. After discovering that he was autistic, how were friends and family towards you and your son, and what was the support like from services? I know you've already touched on them. It took a bit of time and a lot of pushing to get what he needed.
Yeah, friends and family have always been fine. They're as normal as can be. They just carried on as normal. But obviously everyone will have a lot more patience, and you obviously need to make sure there's routine put in place. So there's the reduced meltdowns and keep the child happy. Professionals, the kind of services, lack of support. You have to be the receptionist, the liaising type people. You just have to do everything. You need to push them. If you don't push them, you'll get left on lists, waiting lists constantly, which is sad, but it happens. There's a lot of people waiting as well.
Yeah. Well, it's really good that you're understanding about the matter as well. And when you say, or you mentioned something about the routine and keep him happy just to reduce the number of meltdowns, we'll be coming to meltdown questions shortly. What are some of the routines like? What is the average day like for Jesse?
So, sorry, my phone's just beeping through.
Talk about it.
Routine is no 2 days are the same. Sometimes he will not be able to sleep throughout the night. So to me, I don't really have too much of a routine because I don't know 2 days are the same. But I'll try and stick with whatever he wants, even though, you know, meant to fully do everything they want. But I mean, for the time he wakes up, he has his breakfast, his cereal, wants to watch underground trains on YouTube. That is his morning thing. Like everyone has their morning news.
Yeah.
He wants to watch his morning trains.
Yeah.
And then when he comes in from school, the same thing. He wants trains or Peppa Pig.
Yeah. It's fascinating because not too long ago we interviewed another parent and her son was obsessed with the London Underground and trains. And it's quite fascinating seeing what, yeah, I'm wondering if there is an overlap, and the more parents we speak to, we might get a better understanding of it. Yeah.
The more I observe, the more I know. So the thing with trains is a trajectory schema. It's a fast movement that they like. So they're watching, you see, like if you look out a car window and you see it going past your eye, if you look at the corner of your eye, you feel pressure. So it's deep pressure. It's all to do with the sensory process inside of stuff. But yeah, definitely it's a trajectory schema, the fast movement of the trains and lines all the time.
Wow. That's fascinating, Abby. I mean, thank you very much for sharing that. While Jesse was growing up, what were some of the challenges that you faced and your son faced?
It was more of he has balance and coordination difficulties, so he was always having multiple accidents. He still has it now, so he will literally, I'd say he had over 50 accidents in his preschool.
Wow.
He'd come out with accident slips, like three of them a day. He had one bruise that I told the school about, and they took it out of context. I ended up with a social worker. But then I called a meeting. I brought in his big black book folder where I keep everything that I was doing, and I wasn't getting the help which I said he had a lot of balance and coordination difficulties and multiple accidents. No one sort of pushed that to look into that balance side of stuff. But I did all that I can. So then they closed the case, see that it got taken out of context. But I just felt a bit deflated as a parent. I thought there was multiple people watching him at his school. One parent just trying to do the most. And I felt, where do I stand as a parent? And that just deflated me a bit and kind of made me not lose my trust in people. But there should be more things, like a valid kind of build-up of things before you try and intervene and do anything like that, because it was very traumatic, because they brought my other two kids involved as well, which wasn't nice. But I mean, I knew it was coming, because children if when you've got children with disabilities, you do end up with social workers or a disability team. But the way it happened, I didn't expect it to happen. I felt it was a bit too much for something so small, which I made them aware about. So it's just that side of stuff was a bit difficult and traumatic.
Well, it sounds like you've gone.
But it's never ending.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like you've gone through quite a lot, not only with the service providers who can support you and your son, but also the school as well. And yeah, incredible challenges.
Yeah, I
And
think everyone's in training and learning, so no one knows everything. So it's just working all together. So I had understanding, but I just didn't like the way it was handled. But
yeah,
it happened.
yeah.
But it's all right now. He goes to a brilliant school,
That's
much
good.
more input.
Yeah, and they have a
And
better
yeah,
understanding. And I imagine
yes,
they understand his
definitely.
needs and his day-to-day movements.
Yeah.
What's his balance like? Has it improved over the years?
No, so it's still very much the same. It's when his sensory is dysregulated. So I find his speech will go, his balance will go, his eating and feeding will go very off. So it's just obviously when the sensory goes all upside down, it's a bit like an overload of a computer, like a hard drive and a
Yeah,
monitor.
yeah,
If you put too much information in it, it all goes all upside down. And
yeah.
that's exactly what happens with him. If something's too much, everything else gets knocked all out of proportion.
Yeah,
But yeah, his balance is quite bad still.
yeah.
But the OT at his school, we're working on it,
Mhm.
which is the vestibular sense as well
Yeah.
as the balance and coordination.
Yeah, the way you described it as well is very interesting, like how when there's a lot going on a computer and then when things start stalling. I think that's a really, really beautiful way of describing when a child does have a sensory overload. That leads to my next question, whether Jesse has any sensory sensitivities. I know you've touched on that now. Could you go into some details when he does go into, say, a meltdown?
So a meltdown, or it will start. It's like a very demand avoidance. So if you, even though you should give them what they like first and then try and get them to listen to your demand after, then that way it's a win-win. Everyone's happy and everything's getting completed. Both are getting what they need from it. But when he does have a meltdown, if you have to try and get him to move from one thing to another, he will have a full-on meltdown because he doesn't want to do it. And that will lead him to either running, jumping and landing on his kneecaps,
Oh,
which is painful.
yeah.
That's a very bad behavior that worries me, makes my anxiety go up. He will also pinch and try and bite, which he never used to. But
Himself
so it's a
or
behavior that he's picked up. No, other
other
people.
people? Okay.
And he'll ram his head, but he's done that since a baby. He's always rammed. He'll charge you
Yeah.
and then ram his head into you.
Mhm.
Yeah, so then that's the horrible side of things, is obviously that meltdown. But it's just having patience and
Yeah.
not kind of drawing too much attention to that kind of behavior, because it'll only cause them to be more distressed. You've got to let them have their moment,
Yeah.
and then he'll be fine after.
Yeah. That's what I was going to ask. When he has those issues, how do you deal with them in the immediate sense to calm him down? What type of things do you say and do with him?
Well, at first I'll stand there and I'll look up in the sky and laugh like a crazy person. That's what I look like to people.
Yeah.
They're like, you've got so much patience, but I think I have to do that. Otherwise, you have to calm yourself down at some way. And that's my way of trying to calm myself in the situation. I wouldn't be a parent to be shouting at a kid and drawing so much attention, because he will do it out on the street as well. But no, I will try and like let him have his moment. Then distraction, I think, is the best thing. Distracting something maybe that they like, or just anything, can make it sound very positive. Because the more negative you sound, the more refusal, and then it can last for a while, the meltdown.
Yeah. It's amazing everything you've shared. I mean, maybe you might know or might not know, we're currently raising awareness so that we can build a tool to help people with sensory sensitivity issues. Think of it like a Fitbit for autistic people, to help identify triggers and when they might have a meltdown. Would a tool like this have helped Jesse or you, and do you think it could help others?
I'll say with me, if it was before his diagnosis, it would have helped me. I think just because he used to, as a baby and a small infant, he used to scream and cry for hours and hours and hours, and I didn't know what was bothering him. It was like playing Inspector Gadget. You need to find out whether it's a trigger of a light, if it was a colour. You'd never know. So that probably would have helped, or sense of smell. But now I'm very observative, I can't get that word out, observative of Jesse.
Okay.
I will know the triggers most of the time.
Yeah.
It's just obviously still trying to manage to try and get him to not have so many meltdowns.
Yeah.
And listen to the demands.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fantastic, Abigail. I mean, thank you so much for your time today. Is there a message you would like to send out to the audience, to other parents about, or even anyone else, about what it's like to have a child on the spectrum?
A message. It's just getting to know them and understanding their world. Because their world is brilliant, and just knowing their abilities. Don't focus on the disabilities side of things. It's more focus on their abilities, because that's where you'd find that they would be able to put that focus into, and their creative side. It will give them some sort of structure.
Yeah.
And just having patience. I think that's what we mostly need: patience and understanding as parents. And don't never compare your kid to anyone else's kid. They will learn in their own time. They will get there eventually. And I'd say, what can I think? I did have something there. It's gone. I was thinking something. It just disappeared. Yeah, just definitely patience and understanding your kids and not comparing them.
Yeah.
And just don't overthink the future, because I think that is the biggest part of a worry of having a child with disabilities, is that we do worry for them every second of the day. Because you don't want to create yourself to your mental health to go upside down and have severe anxiety with that. So just take each day as it comes.
Yeah, well, it's interesting you say that, because behind the scenes, the team and I, we're working on things to provide support for all parents of autistic children for the future, and just to alleviate that pain of it and fear and concerns for later on in life. But it's interesting you touched on that, and whatever you were trying to recall, we can always follow up in a later interview. I'm sure our audience would be really happy to hear about that. Abby, I really want to thank you for your time. This is one question. This is more for yes and no. Is there any way your audience can find out more about you, whether it's on social media or elsewhere?
Not really. I
Okay.
just attend a lot of parent workshops and training at the
Right.
moment.
Yeah.
But once I've done all my training, then obviously I would. But I'll meet other parents anyway. I go to parks all the time because my
Yeah.
son loves parks.
Yeah.
And I always notice other people's children. So we just stand there having a conversation, and they can be either at the start of a process of a diagnosis,
Yeah.
at different stages. And I just try and tell them any services that I know of
Yeah.
and just help them and relieve their anxiety and their worries and concerns. And obviously
Yeah.
telling them obviously about the weight and stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, other than that, I don't have social media kind of platform at the moment.
Yeah.
But I think if I did, I'd need to wear a camera helmet every minute of the day, and then they will see how busy
Yeah.
it can be.
Well, I'm sure that would make for some interesting content, Abby. Abby, I just want to thank you once again for all your time today. And I want to thank all of our audience who are at home watching. If you liked what you saw and you want to share your story, get in touch with us. We'd love to put your voice out there in the world. But for now, thank you once again, Abby. Thank
Thank
you,
you, Shani.
everyone. And tally ho.